Hey, my friends, welcome to the Purpose Inspired Life podcast. I'm your host, Sean Willard. This is me, Sean, and welcome back to episode number 2. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for sharing, commenting, liking the first episode number 1. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch it. It lays the foundation to a little bit more about why did I call it the Purpose Inspired Life as opposed to the Purpose Driven Life. And I'll be sharing a lot more about that in future episodes. Today, I'm going to share an interesting word with you, something that's been really kind of sitting on my heart for some time. Michelle and I took a little drive out to a beautiful seaside resort yesterday called Pringle Bay. My brother and sister-in-law stay out in Pringle Bay. It's a beautiful, beautiful resort. We thought we'd take a little drive around the coast, and it was a beautiful day. While we were driving, I was thinking all the time about this particular word, a word that can really impact your life. If you're going through a shift, you'll want to know about this word. You know, one of the things I've realized as a coach, as a speaker, as a trainer, also as a businessman, as a pharmacist for 3 or 4 decades now, nothing is more powerful than a made-up mind. Have you ever found that? When you really make up your mind and you decide to do something, nothing's more powerful than that. No one can persuade you, no one can shift you, as it were. You're committed, man. You're all in. And then other times, well, you know what it's like. You decide to go on that healthy kick, and you go off to the office the next morning, and someone comes around with a beautiful box of freshly baked croissants or jam donuts, and the box looks like it's saying, "Eat me, eat me, eat me." And you decide, you know what? It's Tuesday. I'll do it next Monday. Monday diet, or the 1st of January exercise regime or diet. You know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you've made up your minds, and sometimes it's just a little bit of a sort of a wishy-washy feeling. I believe it comes down to one particular word. Sometimes you're unshakable and immovable. You're resilient. You persevere. You've got a consistency about you. And other times I'm thinking about it, Sean. I'm going to do it. I'm hoping to start soon. Yeah, maybe later. I'll do it soon. I'll do it later. I'll do it someday. You know the old adage of the most populated island out there is someday I'll get to it. I believe it comes down to one word, and that word is decide. Not wishful thinking, not a sort of a pie in the sky when I die by and by, but the steak on your plate while you wait, metaphorically speaking, of course. So you're not faking it till you make it, but you are faithing it until you create it. Let me say it again. You're not faking it till you make it, but you are faithing it until you create it, because we're all co-creators of our life. Now, here's the thing. We either live our life by design or by default. We're just going to live that life, right? So today you've lived your life by design or by default. You woke up this morning and you just went into automated mode. All the habits just sort of kicked in. I've just brushed my teeth. Now, how did I brush my teeth? I can tell you, I brushed it the same way. I brush it every day because I wasn't thinking intentionally about changing anything. It was just a habit. Start on the left-hand side and go to the right-hand side. I'm sure if I had to ask you right now, how did you put on your pants or how did you put on your socks and shoes this morning? You would think, well, if you had to reflect on it, the same way I've always done it. If you drive to work every day along the same path, you'll know exactly where that little bump in the road is, maybe a little pothole. Sometimes you'll get to work and you think, flip, how the hell did I get here? I'm thinking about everything else in my life. I got here and I went through like 5 robots. I honestly, Sean, can't even remember doing it. Your subconscious mind was in control. Habitually, those habits that are deep in your subconscious thinking just drove you there. They just drove you there. Now, from time to time, you flash back into kind of wake up reality. But for the most part, your habits were just sort of driving you there. It was just kind of in your mind, in the top of your mind, or should I say deep seated. See, here's the thing. Most of us are living our lives by some sort of autopilot or just by default. It's just what we do every day is what we do. Kind of who've you watched that little movie, the Dinner for One? Isn't that? It is so funny. We used to watch it every single Christmas Eve. It used to be played, and eventually I think Michelle bought me a DVD, in the days of DVDs, right? A DVD for us to watch the old black and white version, the sepia version of the same procedures every year, Miss Sophie. The same procedures every year, James. How do you do everything The same procedures every year, Sean. That's just the way I do it. How did I put my shoes and socks on? The same procedures every day, Sean. How did I speak to my wife or to my husband? The same procedure as every day, Sean. How did I think about that dream and that desire that I have in my heart? The same procedure as every day, Sean. By default. I defaulted back into my limited thinking, my limiting beliefs, my fears, my imposter syndrome. I want to say this to you right now, because I'm speaking to somebody right now. I can just feel it in my heart. You really battle with imposter syndrome. You're so deeply, deeply talented. You're an incredible artist. You're an incredible creator. But you've been held back by that limiting belief, that imposter syndrome that's saying you're not good enough. You're not as good as that person or this person, etc. And you're comparing yourself to other people out there. I'm telling you now, you're not supposed to be comparing yourself to anybody. If you're in competition with anybody, it would be with yourself, and it's about the road to improvement. You're improving on a day-to-day basis. I love what John Wooden used to talk about when he spoke to his team, and that book Coach Wooden and various other books that he's written, heard stories about Coach Wooden and how he said he didn't speak to his team about winning. He never spoke about winning. He spoke about, he said, because you can win on the scoreboard and you can lose in your heart. You can win on the scoreboard and you can lose in your heart. Vice versa, you can lose on the scoreboard and win in your heart. Have you done your best? Have you given your best? That's who you're in competition with. I've got a quote, and it goes something along the lines of, that competition brings out the best in me. It brings out the best in me. You bring out the best in me. If I see you doing well, I can glean from that. I can learn from that. I can grow myself because of that. I don't need to compare myself to it. I can take out the good, eat the good for myself. But compare yourself to you. How are you improving on yourself? So let me ask you, what's holding you back? Have you decided? Have you decided, or are you being held back by that imposter syndrome and those limiting beliefs? I want to come back to what I said. You're not faking it till you make it. You faith it until you create it, because you are a co-creator. You're a co-creator of your life, and you can design your life one thought at a time, one action at a time, which eventually will become one habit at a time, and it'll change that behavior, change that result, which will, ultimately begin to loop back into your thinking. This is just something you've got to decide on. Now, maybe you've got to decide for the first time in your life that you're going to wake up in the morning and you're not going to wake up grumpy. You're going to wake up in the morning intentionally giving thanks. Before you get out of bed, before you maybe even open up your eyes, or as the alarm goes off, you switch the alarm off and you lie there for a few minutes, a few seconds, and you just give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. So, Sean, but you don't know what my life is like. No, I know that. I don't know what your life is like. You don't know what my life is like. You don't know what the next person's like. But we know that it's that old adage that, I was feeling ungrateful about not having shoes until I found the man without feet. You can change your whole life by including the bookends of gratitude at the beginning and end of your day. If you just started with that, start with gratitude. One or two things that you're grateful for. The fact that you woke up this morning is a huge plus, isn't it? It's a huge plus. It's an amazing, amazing gift that we've been given. Someone said we've been given two gifts. It's our eyes. As we open up and we see the light, we see it. It's amazing. That's a gift. Some people don't have that gift. Some people don't have the gift of hearing. Some people don't have the, many other challenges that they might have. If you can see, if you can hear me, if you can hug your wife or your siblings or your kids, that is a gift. So many things to give thanks for. So decide to wake up and give thanks. Decide when you go to bed to give thanks for one or two things in the day. Decide to take that first step. I've shared before on other platforms that 3 years ago, I think it was around about August, September of 2021, I decided I'm going to start exercising. In fact, it didn't start with walking. It started with cycling on my bicycle at home. And I decided very soon after the first few weeks, this wasn't for me. I wanted to do something I could do for the rest of my life. I didn't see myself cycling. I wanted to. My mom's a walker. She's 95, and they call her the walker. And I thought, let me really get into walking. So I started 10, 15 minutes 3 times a week. That emerged and kind of developed into walking an hour a day, a few days a week. And over this last year, I walk pretty much 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week. I've walked something like 3,100,000 steps and over 2,600 kilometers. I know that because Carly, my beautiful sister, Carly, if you're watching this, I love you. Stick it. Asked me the other day, how far have you actually walked? But I decided to take the first step. Decide to learn the first few words of Spanish or French or German or that language you want to learn. Decide to write that first line in your book. When I wrote my book, Have a Life Attack, I phoned an author here in Franschhoek and I said to her, I've got this idea, I'm going to write this book. And she said, oh, that's wonderful, Sean. So you've written the first chapter, right? I said, no, not yet. Kind of like all the hesitant, stumbling over words. And she said, oh, great. Well, then call me when you have. And she hung up the phone. Just like that. Best things she could have ever done for me. Why? Because if you want to write, you've got to write. If you want to exercise, you've got to exercise. You've got to take the first step. Decide to be kind. Random acts of kindness. Decide to be a friend. Decide to hug more. Decide to travel. Decide to build that business you've been thinking about it, Sean. I'm going to build that business. I want to start that home business. I want to add another income stream to, sort of another arrow to my quiver, as it were. And I've been thinking about it. Someone approached me about it, and yeah, it sounds great, and I think I'm going to do it. When are you going to do it? I don't know. Maybe 2025, maybe 2027. No, start now. Start now. Start with the smallest of steps. Decide. Decide's an interesting word. It comes from a Latin word, and for all you Latin scholars out there, please, I'm not even going to pronounce it correctly, but it's something like decidere, or it comes from 2 words, da and cadere, Caedere, I think it is. Decadere probably sounds more like that, which means away or off, the da, and the cadere to cut and to kill, to slay, to kind of remove. So it's like to cut off. When you decide, you burn the ships, my friend. You burn the ships. Have you burnt the ships yet in that area of your life the thing that you really want to do, or the thing that you don't want to do? Making a stop doing list can be as powerful as making a to-do list. Have 2 lists. What do you decide to do? What do you decide not to do? Because yes, the interesting thing is when you decide to do something, you're actually deciding not to do something else. For instance, this morning, I woke up at 5:30, took the dog for a walk at 5:45. Gemma loves a walk at 5:45. When I decided to do that, I was deciding not to sleep in, not to just press the snooze button. When I came home and opened up the doors and the windows are beautiful outside. So I'm going for a walk. Michelle said, I'm coming with you. And went for a beautiful walk and a lovely coffee up here in Franschhoek on the Sunday morning as I record this. This will be coming out during the week. But I decided to do that, to cut off maybe the convenience and the comfort of the bed. When I decide I'm going to drink water on a day-to-day basis, more water, which I'm now committed to myself, and I've put it out there on the internet before, just to kind of increase my water intake. I'm deciding to do that. I'm deciding not to be inconvenient, to have the sort of like the comfort of, no, I don't need to do it. No, it's inconvenient. It's uncomfortable. I don't want to have to do it, but I know that I need to do it. And so I'm creating a new habit. What's a new habit that you need to create for yourself in your life? What do you need to decide? Where do you need to burn the ships, as it were? See, most people are in a sort of a kind of a holding pattern. They're just subconsciously waiting for some reason to change. They're not consciously thinking that way. They have the best of intentions, but they haven't really made up. They haven't done it intentionally. They haven't made up their mind. They haven't shifted. And they're waiting for kind of this reason or for something or someone to help them shift. And life can throw you some curveballs. I was thrown a couple of curveballs in my life, and I'll share more of those in the podcast to come. 2008 was one of the big curveballs when I had a reflux asthma attack at sort of 5 o'clock one morning. Man, it was my time to wake up. Wake up. So this is my call to you, to wake up and to decide. Choose to make the shift. Choose to cut off. Choose to burn the ships for yourself. What can you choose to do? What is one thing that you need to really, really do? Let this be the moment. Let this be the sign, if you're waiting for any sign, to decide. Decadere. And start this first thing. As I say, last time I did Latin, trying to think, that's now about 1981 or so. Seamus Maloney. Some of you old grey boys who might watch this one at some stage remember Seamus Maloney. Interesting story. Seamus taught my brother, who's 8 years older than me, and taught my late dad, Les Willard, who wasn't at Grey. He was at another school, and Seamus taught him as well. But I knew, what was it? A Masamat. That's about as far as I go. All the Latin scholars and lawyers out there can finish that one off for me. I think it's decadere. Forgive me if I get it wrong. Something like that. Choose this week to make that decision for yourself. Choose to start. Start with one thing, and then move on to the next. Just small wins. Small wins. Make it a small win week for yourself. Celebrate that win. And then you can start working on the next thing. I hope this podcast on the Purpose Inspired Life podcast has given you some food for thought this week. Don't forget to like, to comment, to share. Please subscribe. All of these things help me to spread the news about the Purpose Inspired Life. And I appreciate each and every one of you for doing that and for joining on this beautiful journey with us as the community grows. And if there's anything particular that you want me to cover from a coaching perspective, from a motivational inspiration perspective, from a shift perspective, from a purpose inspired perspective, send me a DM, pop me an email, and I'll be sure to look into that going forward. Until later, be inspired. This has been Sean. Cheers.